Is that easier? Yeah, okay. Yeah, no problem. Okay. Little camera shy. Okay. Okay, we're live.
So welcome, everybody. We'll get started. I think there's a couple more members joining us, but in the meantime, we'll start the meeting. It is being streamed live, just for the new members' awareness. So people can attend meetings either in person or via Zoom, and it is streamed live for the public. So first order of business is the land acknowledgement. I acknowledge with respect that we are in the Robinson Huron Treaty Territory, that the land on which we are gathered is a traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and known as Bwatting. Bwatting is home of the Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, and the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis Council. So I'd like to start with roundtable. We'll do welcome and introduction. So welcome to all the new members. I'm Virginia McLeod. I'm the manager of recreation and culture here at the city.
I'm Yari August. I'm the supervisor of recreation. I'm Dean Greenwood. I've been a member for a number of years. It's a great committee to be a part of.
Donald, citizen member for a couple of years as well. Everybody, Graham Young, first meeting, just joining today.
And first I see Brenna in the top of my screen.
Hi, my name's Brenna. I'm excited to participate in my first year here. So I'm excited to work with everybody and nice to meet you.
Brent.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Brent Lamb, and I'm the Director of Community Services.
Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris Alfano. Been on the committee for a couple of years. It's been a pleasure. I work at the Algoma District School Board as the Health and Safety Supervisor.
And Jen.
Hi, my name's Jen Flood, and I think this is my third term on the committee, and I echo what Dean said. It is a lot of fun, and welcome to the new members, and nice to see some old faces too.
Okay. Item 3 on the agenda is adoption of the minutes. So any of the members that were attending the December meeting can move or second the minutes. Mover and seconder for resolve that the minutes of the Park and Recreation Advisory Committee meeting this meeting. We got the dates mixed up of December 6th, 2022 be approved.
I'll move that.
Okay, so Dean. Well, thank you. All in favor, you can do that by a show of hands. And the motion carries. Is there any pecuniary interest that anybody wants to declare? We will be having a presentation by our clerks department in March. So they were trying to make it to this meeting, but they couldn't. And they'll go over kind of meeting procedures, and they have a 30-minute kind of presentation to talk to committee members, but they're not here today, and they will go through to find people with pecuniary interest at that meeting as well. Okay, none noted. Adoption of the agenda. So a mover and a seconder. Resolved that the agenda for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee meeting for December 7th, 2023, as presented, be approved. Chris and Jen, thank you. Okay, our first item is election of officers for the committee this year. We're going to be electing a chair and a vice chair. The way that the procedure works is I'll do a call for nominations 3 times. You're welcome to move forward a nomination. If there's more than one nomination for a position, I have provided members with a little sheet of paper that they can write their vote on. We do have to hold them up. So for those of you that are on Zoom, you would also just hold up who you're voting for. So I'm going to open up nominations. Is there any nominations for the position of chair? Or actually resolve, I got to move in second, sorry. Resolve that nominations be open for the position of chair of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee for 2020.
I nominate Dean.
Oh, so Chris, do you want to move that first?
Sure.
And seconder to open up nominations? Sorry, got ahead of myself a minute ago. All in favor to open up nominations? Okay, that motion carries. And Chris, you're nominating Dean.
Yes.
Are there any other nominations? And last call, any other nominations for the position of chair? Seeing none, Dean, do you accept?
I accept. Thank you,
Alright.
Chris.
You're welcome.
So mover and seconder, resolve that Dean Greenwood is declared chairperson of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee for 2023. So Chris had moved it and Paul, you're seconding it? Okay, all in favor? And the motion carries. Okay, next motion, we need a mover and seconder. Resolve that the nominations be open for the position of vice chairperson of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee for 2023. So open up again. And a seconder for the motion,
Second.
Dean. And call for nominations. Are there any nominations for the position of vice chair?
I would like to recommend Jen Flood.
Jen? Any other nominations? And last call for nominations. Seeing none, Jen, do you accept?
Yes, I'll accept. Thanks, Dean.
You're welcome.
So, Dean moved it. Is there a seconder for that motion? Paul? Okay, so resolve that Jennifer Flood is declared vice chairperson of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee for 2023. All in favor? Yeah, that's carried. And I'd like to welcome Councillor Matthew Scott.
Sorry, I just joined by video so I could raise my hand. I'm currently in transit between my work and my home to join said meeting. So if my video goes on and off, I apologize.
No problem. Welcome.
Thank you. Looking forward to this board. It's one that I wanted to get on last term, but some of the other councillors wouldn't give up their spots. So
Welcome aboard.
thank you.
So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay.
And you can take the meeting from here.
All right. Well, welcome, everyone. Thanks for applying for this committee. It's as we all say, those of us have been on it for a while. It's great fun. It's interesting to be this involved in our community, and especially in the recreation parts of things. So now that we've done the election of officers, we're on 6.2. This is park development updates, and you'll hear me say this a lot. I defer to Virginia or Yar. They're my presenters of things.
So we do have a few updates. I'll actually let Brent kick it off.
Sure. Thanks, Virginia. One park I'll start on right now is Rosedale Park. And recently you might have seen just at council that we had asked to have $10,000 in kind services approved, which council did to install the last piece of equipment at Rosedale Park, which is quite key. It is a zip line that's approximately 33 feet in length. So we're quite excited for this piece of equipment to go into the park. For those that are new, there's been quite a revitalization of the space. You may have followed it online. We did have a groundbreaking ceremony last year. We have two distinct play zones. We have a paved path, a paved parking lot, and we have some accessible features there for different play apparatuses as well. And we've also done some work to the berm there to make it longer to allow for better sledding in the winter. There's also a path that Kiwanis members are working on as well with snowshoeing around the park. So it's the space is much more active and serving the needs of the community much better in that space right now. And it's been a great partnership with the Kiwanis Club and other organizations, social services, a few to name right there. In the neighborhood of about $215,000 were raised for this project for this community project. So quite a good project right there. And hopefully we'll get that tender out shortly with Virginia and the team, and we'll be able to install that last piece of equipment, and we'll be in a good spot on Rosedale Park.
Brenda, I have a question. Is that zip line, it's like it would have 2 towers, I guess, at either end? Is that how it's
No, it's a single track. If you're comparing it to the one that's at Bellevue Park instead too, it's a single track zip line. So it's not quite as long. The other one is in excess of 50 feet. This one's 33 feet, still fairly substantial. And it's the only, be the second one that we have in Sault Ste. Marie.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments about that?
Yeah. Did you want me to speak to West End, Virginia?
Yeah, if you want to talk about the twin pad and
The twin pad in the West End. Okay, so maybe I'll start with the twin pad first of all. So the twin pad project is well underway and very close to being completed. Right now, the update is we're looking at potentially starting games the very beginning of March. Right now, that's coming up really soon. And with the hopes of even getting in sooner to potentially start practice time as early as February 24th. So that's what our goal is right now. That's all subject to the plant starting up with no issues and no hiccups along the way. So we're in really good shape that regard. We're just testing the plant right now, getting it started. So it's a brand new plant servicing 2 NHL ice surfaces. So with anything, we're trying to do our best to make sure everything's following procedure with that process. So we will be having a grand opening that we'll announce in the near future. It'll be not the first date we get in, but shortly thereafter to make sure there's no hiccups along the way. Happy to answer any questions on that update before I go into the third.
Chris?
Yeah, is there an opportunity to do a walkthrough again for the committee, or are we just going to the grand opening?
Good question. We do have you on our invite list tentatively for the grand opening, so you'll all definitely be invited to that. If I think we'd be happy to bring the committee through if they wanted to. Again, I know Virginia had hosted one time. If there is an interest in that, I'm sure Virginia could over the next few weeks arrange a time for the committee members that haven't been through. I don't see that being a concern.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Did you want me to go on to the West End splash pad now, Dean, as if it's on the item?
Sure. Yep. You're on a roll, Brad. Keep going.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dean. Appreciate it. On the West End splash pad, our engineering team and Virginia's team and also our parks team has been working very hard. They're very close on issuing the RFP for the West End splash pad very shortly. We're hoping that to go out in the next couple of weeks. So with that tender going out, we'll get it back. And then hopefully moving forward with construction to start in the spring for the West End splash pad, which will be in place at Manzo Park. And so that will really make that another well-used destination with the existing pool, tennis courts, bocce courts, and a splash pad there as well. So we're seeing this in a lot of pockets in the community now where we're developing some with more than just one amenity. Elliott Park's another good example of that, along with Rosedale Park as well. So some extra features there to use. I'm looking forward to getting that project underway.
Is that splash pad quite similar to what we have at Bellevue Park?
I'm going to let Virginia add on to this one right here. I don't know if it's going to be exactly the same. It's always budget constrained. We do have a budget of $625,000. It started at $750,000. So we're aiming to get as many amenities as we can, but maybe Virginia can add on to what I've just stated.
Yeah, so the footprint right now that we have established is comparable size. The features are probably going to vary a little bit. So instead of the little lazy river, we'll be looking at potentially other features to be adding in to the space. We're going to have 2 accessible change stalls that will be close to the pad, as well as a shaded area, which will be incorporating with some picnic tables, which will be just off the pathway. So right now we have the drawings for all the servicing, the sub base, all of the engineered has been completed for the depths of the granulars and how that's going to look. So right now, we just started the process of actually now getting the RFP out for the actual play features, and then there'll be somebody else who's doing the major construction for the service. We'll have 2 pieces going on with that project. So,
Is that in this year's budget already?
yes, funding was approved last year. So then the first step for us was to engage engineering services. so that they could actually start working on the design and make sure that we had all the proper connections and locations based off of drainage and water and electrical services for the site. And yeah, now we're getting into the next
Great.
phase.
Any other questions or comments on that? Okay. Are you all finished with your updates, Brent?
I do have an update for the slides. So that was inquired to us or from the committee members regarding the slides with the parks. Travis does have good news. He is replacing the slides that are broken this spring. You typically don't do installs while the snow is on the ground. He did have trouble sourcing some materials, so for the small slides, he's able to replace those sections that were either broken or wear and tear or vandalism caused sections. He'll be able to replace those completely. Unfortunately, the larger slides, the ones that were kind of rainbow, he's had to replace those completely. So he couldn't get any parts for those slides anymore, so he's replacing those in full this spring.
And these are all at Bellevue Park.
The Bellevue Park, I think there's a couple other ones in the smaller parks where there's issues, but they've all been inventoried this spring.
Sorry. Any other questions or comments?
I know that was Tracy's concern.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. It may not be a rainbow anymore, but it'll be replaced.
Good. Okay, moving on to item number 7 on our agenda. Subcommittee task force updates. I see 7.1 is STAC. Graham and Brianna, for those who are new here, stands for Sioux Trails Advocacy Committee. And it's a committee made up of a lot of community members, Algoma Public Health, the Voyager Trail Association, and they sort of advocate active transportation, meaning anything that moves that is non-motorized. Basically, STAC has not met for over COVID. It was very slow moving. We weren't able to meet. We're trying to get reorganized with an election over now. We're back on track. Basically, the planning department, I don't know whether anyone has seen the advertisements or the engagement for a thing called Sioux Moves, and it's about micro trails throughout the community. And basically, if you go on the city website, you can look up Sioux Moves, and it will show you for some of the new trails, possible new trails, we call them micro trails, that will be helping connect the hub trail and some different things like that. STAC as a committee is hoping to meet in March, and we will start looking at trying to finalize or trying to put our input into some movement on those micro trails. But other than that, that's kind of the news with STAC. I know Jen is representative for STAC for the for Parks and Recreation, but basically we're hoping to get moving on that and have a good year. There's a lot of enthusiasm for cycling and walking and trails, so basically it's a good thing. But the Sioux Moves program, it's kind of a comment that you can make if you're interested in saying yay or nay, and just seeing what some of the trails to connect the city would be. Any other questions or any questions on that? Okay, item number 8, new business. And we have some new business. It's regarding Snowden Park.
Virtual city awards.
Yeah. Oh, okay, sorry.
So 8.1 city awards. This is a report was done by the clerk's department. So currently, right now, the city offers 5 different awards, and those are kind of coordinated at different times of the year. So they had started to review all of the different award programs, and a recommendation was made to look at having one larger city awards ceremony and bringing all of those awards together so that some of the other awards that may not draw as much attention, it's going to raise their profile, but then it's also going to be a much larger event each year. So timing wise, it's going to be changing some of the different award ceremonies and when they take place. Originally, the committee here had held the Sports Hall of Fame in June, and then with COVID and different things, we ended up holding it in the fall the past couple years. So they are looking at a fall timing. So the clerk's department is going to take care of advertising, getting the application information out there, collecting the applications as they come in, and then we'll be dispersing them out to each of the appropriate departments. And then we'll take those applications back to the committee for discussion. The committees will be still making the recommendations. We'll move forward with the process and we'll have a much larger event that'll be taking place each year. So yeah, so it'll be kind of rolled in with the other awards are the Community Development Award, which is done through the Planning Department, Community Recognition Award, which is another one that I do through the cultural side of my portfolio. The Heritage Award is another one that I do through the Heritage side, and then Hall of Fame, and then the last one would be the Walk of Fame. So those will be bundled into one award ceremony.
I just like to comment, I think it's a brilliant idea. I mean, it's going to be a busy night or whatever, but I think rather than having 5 separate locations, doing it all at once makes sense. Any questions or comments? Okay, participation grant.
Yeah, so participation grant. The month of June is participation month. So basically last year we applied for a grant, we got it, we ran Tri-Sport Day in June, that was our main event. There's also a portion of it where we collect as a community exercise minutes, and we compete against other communities. Our main focus was the Tri-Sport Day last year, which was very successful, lots of attendance, very happy participants, lots of good community feedback. So this year we're going to go run it again. We had just applied for the grant. I submitted it last week. The grant this year is for $5,000. Previously it was $1,500. So we'll be able to do much larger scale. Looking at a Tri-Sport Day, making it 2 days, including more sports, getting more participants involved.
Great. And is it going to be sort of a similar format, Jeremy?
Yeah, so same format, 2 days of Tri-Sport Day. We'll contact different sporting organizations in the community. Do it some of the mainstream sports like, you know, soccer and softball, but then try to get more of the niche sports, you know, disc golf, get frisbee, get people aware that there are leagues and facilities to play right, your non-traditional summer sports.
That's great. Any questions or comments? Okay, now we're on 8.3. The Snowden Park update.
Yeah, so in your package, there's 3 pieces of information. There's an update report that I brought to council on January 9th, which provides some background on the project and then some of the items that we've completed to date. So there's been 3 trees planted, some benches installed in the northwest corner of the park. There's plaques that will be going in on each of the trees. The wording for the plaques was included in the council report, which was prepared and approved through the Children of Shinwalk Alumni Association. And then there's a large rock that sits in the middle of kind of this reflection space within the park. There was additional correspondence that did go to council at that time from the Children of Shinwalk. They made a request to have the name of the park renamed to Memorial Park. We also received correspondence from Don Elliott, which is included in your package, which shares kind of the history of how the Snowden Park name came to be. And that, you know, he also indicated that he feels that a memorial is appropriate, but, you know, wanted to have this correspondence included for the committee. So the information is here for your information tonight. We'll be looking at having the discussion as we move forward into March. I have some work to do to prepare an outline. We're going to be looking at what the process is. We do have a process for the renaming of parks. So we'll be working through that, and then further information will come back to the craft committee in March.
Everyone understands all that? Any questions or comments? Thanks, Virginia. Now 8.4 bylaw update. Okay, thanks, Virginia.
So the bylaw update is more of a housekeeping matter. We're taking a look at all of the bylaws for each of the committees and looking at shifting them to a terms of reference. So this is happening with other committees of council at this time. You can see it hasn't been looked at, so this one goes back to 2001 was the last update, and there is under composition some housekeeping changes that need to be made. Originally, there used to be 2 councillors that were often allocated to committees. That got moved down to 1, especially when council went from 12 members down to 10 members. So that would need to be changed to 1 member of council, as well as the length of terms. The term changed to 2 years. So that has to be updated as well because council made those changes. As well as a few other little housekeeping things. One of the things that we did want to bring forward to the committee is we have in the past had some meetings where we not had enough business or we ended up canceling them because it wasn't enough to have everybody come in for a meeting. So we wanted to discuss possibly looking at changing the schedule instead of having regular 10 meetings a year, looking at maybe doing 6 and figuring out what the timing of that might be. We still have the ability, if we have major projects, to have a meeting at the call of the chair and then have them back in.
Okay. Yeah, historically, and you can read it in the schedule of with the committee responsibilities or whatever, is that for July and August were not meeting months. Generally, the other 10 months were. Meeting was on the first Tuesday of the month, and that has worked out very well. But as Virginia says, in the last couple of years, we have areas and times where there doesn't need to be a meeting. There's not enough requirement of our committee to pass anything or to look at anything. But it would be up to, I think, city staff possibly to suggest a schedule.
So what we can do is we've started to look at drafting a bit of a terms of reference, so we can look at bringing that back to the committee. If there is any comments or suggestions, if you want to send them to us directly, we can incorporate those and then have a further discussion at our March meeting.
I think that sounds good, Virginia. Any comments? Okay. Under new business now, item 8.5, upcoming events. I think Yari circulated a event calendar from Sioux Cycling Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone received that, but that's just involving cycling or whatever. Does anyone have any events they'd like to suggest?
We are gonna have the grand opening of the West End
Okay,
PA Center Twin Pad, date to be determined.
We have Bonsu going on. If anybody hasn't noticed all the advertising everywhere. There's activities happening at the skating trail every night. It's been divided into 3 zones. So there's a kids and family go down at machine shop. We have a number of activities happening at the skating trail. And then there's another zone happening over towards the bush plane. On February 11th, we have a kind of wrapping up on Sioux, as well as a large street party taking place. So there's music taking place between East Street and Spring, where we have the street closure. A lot of activities are happening at Irving Thorpe National Historic Site that day. We've got street curling, bocce, box hockey, games on the street, as well as music and hot chocolate and a bunch of venues throughout that area. There's a stage that's also being set up on Queen Street. And everything's going to be wrapping up in fireworks, which will be taking place at 7. So the main part of the street party event is 4 to 7, followed by fireworks, which will be set off at Coxsale Island.
okay,
So that's the 11th. And then we'll have a bunch more trade programs going on at the Northern Community Center. And we're also, I think everybody's probably seen it in the news, we're going to be hosting, or the pickleball group has been working with Pickleball Ontario to host a tournament here this summer.
Okay. I'd just like to make a comment regarding Monsu. I know that the city is quite involved in it or whatever, but for the 60th anniversary, I have to say that the fireworks on Friday night were absolutely the best fireworks I've ever witnessed anywhere. I don't know whether anyone else was able to go down and see them, but they were absolutely fabulous. Now, I understand that we have a new certified fireworks member of city council. I'm not sure the choice is right there, but I'm very happy that that's happening. But it was very, very incredible. It was outstanding.
Yeah, so one of our staff, Rick, just became certified to set off fireworks, so he's quite excited.
That is great.
One more thing, Mark, I believe we have a AAA Bantam provincial tournament that we're hosting. What's the date on that, Mark?
Yeah, it's April 12th to the 16th. And, our organizing committee is busy getting ready for it. We actually have a meeting tonight about it, and we're excited to be in the new facility, and we're glad to hear that it's on track to be ready. So, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and some great hockey.
That's great. And I'd just like to suggest that, I know we mentioned it earlier, but Virginia, I think it would be interesting if you could organize a tour for the West End Community Center. Because we have a couple of new members. Some people weren't able to attend before, but it's an absolutely outstanding place. I'd love to go and see what it's like if that works out.
I can arrange something.
Okay, all right, great.
Do it like I did last time.
Okay, thanks, Ari. Any other comments or questions? Okay, item number 9 on our agenda, correspondence.
The correspondence we received was covered under 823, so they will go together.
Okay, yeah, and basically we have in your package the report from the cycling club about the single track trail at Pin Hill. And basically it's sort of self-explanatory. We're quite a bit got done this fall, and that trail will hopefully be completed certainly by the summertime. Any questions or comments?
Question, but it's maybe also related to. Wondering if that the committee still has a in Hill working group.
Oh, right, with the tubing hill and that type of thing. There had been
an update on that, or is that been this committee?
Yeah, that we haven't
Well,
done-
yeah, other than the staff tried to source out pricing on doing certain things or whatever, and there are certainly limitations and space wise or whatever, but
the tube hill can't fit in that location,
Yes.
but there was a request put in through capital to do the washroom facility.
Yeah.
So that
Okay,
request did
yeah.
go forward, so it'll be pending budget.
okay. Any other new business at all? Well, now we're here to not necessarily my favorite item number on the agenda, but our next meeting. And what's the date? March 7th, thank you. So March 7th is our next meeting for PrAC. And number 11, our adjournment. May I have a mover, please? Chris, and a seconder? Brianna, or Brenna, thank you. All in favor? Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.